Good morning, beautiful people. Victoria here with the CNA Instructor Secret the CNA Instructor Secret Cocktail. We are a consulting company who helps individuals like yourself start CNA schools. So I wanted to do a quick webinar or live, if you will, on, what should you be considering when thinking about your students' tuition. Tuition cost is a big deal because that is the amount of revenue that you will get coming into your business, right? Your main source of revenue is basically your tuition from your students. So if you do not really look completely into how much you should be charging for tuition, you can undercut your business significantly, all right? Good morning, Ms. James. Thanks for joining. So I want to talk real quick about what that looks like, because I can't tell you how many people I consult with who are kind of in the planning or past the planning phase rather, but in the action phase, but they still don't know what they're going to charge their students for tuition. And this is a huge deal because in order for your business to be successful, you have to have a certain amount of money coming in. It's all about cash flow, as we know. And you want to make sure that the cash flow is something that is going to sustain your business. So off the rip, you have to know what you're charging for your CNA program, period. All right, so let's talk about things that you really need to consider when thinking about your students' tuition, because every time I talk about this with my clients, they're like, wow, I didn't even think about that, or wow, So number one thing you need to do is assess the market. All right, assess the market. As I like to say, stalk your competition. All right. I want you to choose 3 CNA schools in your area, and I want you to call them, and I want you to find out how much their tuition is, look on their website, see if you can figure out the cost of tuition. Now, there's a caveat here, okay? You're not just looking to see what the tuition cost is, but you're also looking to see what is all included in that tuition. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there are some places that you may call one place that says it's $500 for tuition. You may call another place and it says it's $800 for tuition. That's a big difference, right? But why? What's included? Is it nothing? Absolutely nothing. Is just your tuition, and then the student still has to go and buy books. The student still has to go and buy a uniform. They still have to buy a stethoscope, blood pressure cuff. Do they have to still pay for their exam? What all is included in that tuition, okay? So don't just say, oh, okay, the tuition's $500, thank you, and hang up. No, you need to know what all is included in that tuition, because that's going to help you make a really solid decision on what it is you're going to charge for your program. So I don't want to hear that I'm charging $500 because everyone else is charging $500. You don't know what everyone else is including in that $500. And I'm telling you right now, $500 is not a lot of money to be charging for a CNA program. You need to be charging more. So if someone's charging $500, I'm telling you that they're not getting something. They are not getting something. So look into that a little deeper. So number one, like I said, assess your area, find out how much others are charging, choose 3 schools, and stalk them. All right, that's number one. Number 2 is, then you need to ask yourself a question, right? How much do you plan on charging for tuition? What all do you want to be included in your tuition? Do you want to just charge them a base fee, and then once they sign up, you want to nickel and dime them? Is that what you want to do? Or do you want to offer an all-inclusive tuition, which I usually recommend as long as your state is allowing it, because students like a one-stop shop. Students do not like to be nickel and dime. Think about when you went to college, right? You paid your tuition, and the next thing they were like, oh yeah, by the way, $2,000 in books. Oh yeah, by the way, you got to pay for these lab fees or whatever. And you're like, what? Hold on now. My tuition was this, and now I got to pay this. But what are you going to do? You're already there. You've already signed up, right? So don't do that to your students if you don't have to. If you want to, that's your business decision. Okay, by all means, I'm just giving you some best practices to consider. It is your business. I don't want anyone saying Victoria told me I should have or that I had to. I'm not. I'm just giving you things to think about, okay? Thank you guys so much for joining me, and thank you for throwing up the hearts. I appreciate that, because it let me know that I am resonating with you. All right, so what all do you want to charge for? Well, Victoria, what all can I charge for, right? Like, what all could I be including in my tuition? What all are additional costs I should be considering, you say? Anybody have any ideas? Tell me in the chat. What are some things you think that you need to think about in terms of costs, besides some of the things I mentioned? Anything you can think of? And when I say cost, things you need to calculate into what you should be charging for your tuition. Give me some ideas. I want to see. I will name a few. Hey, Miss Davis, thanks for joining. Hey there, Nurse Nightingale, I like that. Some things that you should think about. I'm waiting for you guys to type it in. I want to hear from you. I want to see if your wheels are spinning this morning, what you're thinking about. All you gotta do is type in one or two things. No wrong answer. You might think of something that I didn't think about. So I want to see it. I will start naming a few things though, okay? Some of those things would be, I already said uniforms, right? So let's talk about uniforms real quick. Where do you think you're gonna be getting your uniforms from? If you are already in the process of actually starting your school, like you're in the application phase, you're completing your application or you turned it in, then you should already know where you're getting your uniforms from if you decide that you're including the uniforms in your tuition. Or you should know where you're referring your students to for uniforms if you don't plan on including it in tuition, but you want them to look uniform. You don't want to tell everybody bring green scrubs because this person's going to have the light green, that person's going to have the dark green, that person's going to have the one with the baby fat logo on it. You know, it's going to be all these different scrubs that you did not want. So you need to unify it. So you need to identify a company that you want them to get their scrubs from, whether it is a mom and pop's local uniform store, or if you're just going to bulk order them online through wholesale or whatever it is that you're going to do. Okay, but you need to be considering that and whether or not you want to charge that. Okay, great. I see some people put some stuff up here. So lab fees, yes, because guess what? Those gloves cost, those masks cost, those isolation gowns, those toothbrushes, you guys, they'll be doing mouth care on each other. All of that costs, okay? Those are different supplies you need to think about. Yes, the state exam. There's the potential that, let me tell you a big thing that I see. I see people go all the way through the CNA program, and then when it's time for them to graduate, they graduate, but they never go and take the exam. And you know why they don't go and take the exam? They don't take it because suddenly they don't have the $100 to take it, okay? And then when they do finally get the $200, when they get their taxes or whatever, it's 6 months later. And guess what? They about to go and fail that test. And that fail goes on your record of your school, and now you look like you can't teach nobody. Was that really your fault? No, it wasn't. But I have a way that you can circumvent that, right? So you may, as a selling point or a selling strategy, you may say, you come to my school, you get to go, you get to take your test for free, right? We pay for your exam for you. But you and I both know that really that's just a fee that's incorporated maybe into the tuition cost potentially. That's just an idea. Remember, I'm not telling y'all what to do. I'm giving you ideas, strategies, different things you can do, okay? In some states, most states, that's not even a problem. Some states may not allow that. These are questions you need to be asking when you're moving forward with starting your CNA school. These are the answers that I know, but there's 50 states out there. I can't tell you all of them right now, okay? But these are ideas for you to think about. Someone else said instructor salary. Yes, Melina, instructor salary. Let's talk about that. Let's say you are in a state, Arkansas. I'm working with a client in Arkansas right now. You're in Arkansas, and Arkansas has a 90-hour program. So actually, I have that math up right now. How much do y'all want to pay your instructor? First of all, let's back up. How much do you want to pay your instructor? How much do you want to pay an instructor? We know that it's more cost effective to hire an LPN to teach than it is for an RN. So how much do you think that you would potentially be charging or paying rather? And some people may say, well, I don't plan on hiring anybody. I plan on being a teacher. Okay, well, how much you gonna pay yourself? Because you still got to get paid, right? And that's still a tax write-off. So you still need to consider pay. How much do you plan on paying? So I want to see that. I want y'all to put that down. How much do you plan on paying an instructor? The going rate, I'll tell you the going rate in a minute after I see what y'all want to pay. But let's say 90 hours, right? There's 90-hour course, and you multiply whatever it is you're going to pay that instructor, and then multiply that by the 90 hours if your state has a 90-hour course. Or maybe your state has 160 hours like California. Okay, then now we see the instructor salary is going to go up. Do you see why I tell you that everyone's tuition is going to be different? Do you see that now? Because in Georgia, our program is 85 hours, but in California, it's 160. So off the rip, instructor salary has doubled. And that's California, right? So that tuition is going to be a significant difference. So some people said $25 an hour. Thank you, Ms. Randall, for sharing that. That's good information. April says $25 an hour. Okay, so let's talk about that. I've seen anywhere from $19 till about $22 to $25. $25 is definitely the high end, I'm going to be honest, but nothing's wrong with that. That's good. If that's what you want to pay your instructors or pay yourself or whatever it is, that's good, because you want to retain employees too, right? So let's say you have a 90-hour program and you decided you were going to pay $20 an hour because this is an LPN with 1 year experience, okay? That's $1,800 for tuition, for salary right there. All right, just for those 90 hours. And maybe you can do that. Maybe your program is a month-long program. So let's say that was a month, right? Let me see what else. Someone else said TB and physicals, uniforms, and books. Let's talk about books. I like that one. Books. Yes, you have to pay for books. But, you know, some people are like, Victoria, I don't want to pay for those books. You know, that can add up. Yeah, you're right. If you got 24 students and the books are $26 a piece, bam, that's almost $600 just for one class in books. Okay, so yeah, books can become costly. Some people decide to rotate their books, say, hey, you're borrowing this book. I'm buying this book, you're borrowing it for this class. And then when you're done with this class, you have to give me this book back because I'm going to use this book for my next class. I've seen schools do that as a way to cost cut. What do you guys think about that? You like that idea or you don't? I'm going to be real. I don't like the idea. And I don't like the idea because I feel like, what are they going to study off of between graduation and test time if I took the book from them? What are they going to study from? So that's a problem for me. Now, unless you've already got them engaged with some type of other type of learning technique or resource, right? Like maybe online videos that you know are specific to that state, then yeah, maybe that would make sense. But otherwise, I don't like the idea of taking a book. But again, this is your business. This is what I've seen businesses do, and it works for them. All right. There's ways to just get around it, maybe. So whatever works for you, I'm just putting it out there. Yes, you have to think about your TB testing and your physicals and your physicals. Is that a cost that you're going to push off on a student, or is that a cost that you're going to take and just incorporate it into your tuition? Something to think about. Let's see, what else? I have, okay, someone said they were offered $19 an hour. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that $19 an hour. What state are you in, Nurse Nightingale? Because that would have something to do with it too. Oh, South Carolina. Yep, in the South, they don't like to pay nurses, period. I remember my very first nursing job, I was paid $21 an hour as an RN my very first year. So I remember that. Now, granted, that was over 10 years ago, but still. Okay, so let's, Ms. James, you are funny. Okay, so let's keep going because there's some things that you guys have not mentioned, and that's why I'm here. You guys have not mentioned some potential cost, reasons for cost that you need to be incorporating into your tuition. So let's talk about that real quick. I want to make sure I read all these comments though. Okay, so let me tell you one. Another thing you guys have not mentioned is insurance. Insurance, professional liability insurance, right? You got to usually pay that per student. You know, that's a cost you need to be putting back off on the students. So anyone who already has a CNA school, do you mind sharing with the group what you are currently paying for professional liability insurance? Professional liability insurance usually covers the instructors as well as the students in case of malpractice in the clinical setting. So you have to have that. That is a must. The nursing home is going to require that to see that from you. And so the question is that a cost you're just going to eat, or are you going to push that off on your student? And you definitely need to be incorporating that into your tuition cost and pushing that off on your student, okay? Cannot forget insurance. Hey, Christella, thank you for joining. So Let's talk about that. Insurance. Insurance can be, I've seen it be $1,500. I've seen it be $2,500. I've seen it be $1,000. It really depends on the state and how many students you have. So that has a lot to do with it, just like car insurance, right? Some states is super high, some states is super low. So don't forget your insurance, guys, okay? Another thing you need to think about is your secretary costs. Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I'm telling you, sooner or later, you need a secretary. You know why you need a secretary? Because every time that phone rings, somebody better be answering it. Somebody better be answering that phone. Because if no one is answering that phone, that student is hanging up and they are going to the next school. And if they answer the phone and they say all the right things, they're going to sign up and they're never calling you back ever again. So you want to have a secretary answering a phone, or maybe an answering service or something. I don't know, but that's still a cost that you need to be considering that needs to get passed off to the student because it's an operational cost, right? I've had people, and also the secretary is going to be there when you're teaching, so they can be there to answer the door, let people in, show them around, do all types of things, engage with your potential students. You need someone there engaging with your potential students when you cannot. If you're the instructor and the owner, then there's no way you can be the secretary too. It's just not happening. So you need someone that can do those things when you're not there, engaging with your students, getting them excited, teaching them about your program, and hopefully enrolling them while you're busy teaching others. Okay, that's a must. I learned real quick I had to get a secretary, and probably after like a month or two, I hired one on, paid her $9 an hour. It was the best money I ever paid, because guess what? If she was there to just enroll at least one student, she paid her salary. Because I didn't have her full time, I just had her for a few hours while I knew I was in class or something, or during the hours I knew I wasn't there. So they're going to pay for themselves easy. You need somebody answering the phone. You need someone showing people around. Okay, so that's another cost you may want to consider. And I'm going to bring up two more because there's still two more you guys haven't mentioned. And one is CPR. Okay, are you going to teach them CPR? Are you going to make them pay for that separate? Are you going to incorporate it into their tuition? What are you going to do? Because we all know that they need CPR in order to get their job. They go through your training and it's time for them to go get a job. They need CPR. So why not incorporate it into their cost for tuition if you wanted to? Or if you want to expound upon it, just charge them, on the side for it. All right, Mrs. Randall says she pays $750 a year for her professional liability. Yep, that sounds about right. So is this good information so far for you guys? I hope so. This is why I'm here. I hope to give you guys great information. Let's move on to another thing besides CPR. One of the last things I want to bring to your attention that I think is very beneficial for your students is supplying them with a blood pressure cuff and a stethoscope. Who had problems learning how to do blood pressure in school? Did you get it the first or the second time? I know I didn't. It took practice. Some of these CNA schools are all of 2 weeks long, guys. 2 weeks, and usually vital signs aren't even introduced until halfway into week 1 or week 2. So that gives them 1 week to learn how to do a blood pressure the right way. Okay, so and they're only doing it in lab. If you only have a blood pressure cuff and stethoscope in lab, if they don't have one to take home, then they're never going to take it home and learn how to do it. So that's something you might want to consider, and they are not expensive. I think Pocket Nurse has them for like $15 for a set. Of course, it's a little cheapy stethoscope. It's not a Littman by any means, but it's definitely enough to get them through to help them learn how to take a blood pressure. All right, so I recommend supplying each student with one that they can take home and whatnot, so that they can learn off of it. And if you're going to do that, then that's a cost that you need to consider. Pushing off on the student and thinking about adding that to your tuition. Okay, so let me see, there's some information here. If I'm a CPR instructor, could providing CPR be a benefit to my business? Yes, please. If you have a CNA school, you must be a CPR instructor. That is a must. Every one of my clients, I tell them, because you're going to be a CPR instructor, right? Because you're about to find somebody to teach you CPR, right? You've got to be an instructor. It's a huge asset to your business. It's money saving, money adding. It's another stream of revenue. Sometimes, let's say if you have a smaller class, CNA class, you can utilize your CPR to bring students from out in the community to come in and do CPR with them, right, and get additional money that way. So all types of CPR is a definite benefit to your business, and I highly recommend it. Ms. Randall says, all of our students receive a blood pressure cuff and a stethoscope and a gait belt. I love that. I love that. I'm so happy to hear that. You guys are doing really great, and I'm very proud of everything that you guys are doing over there in Texas too, by the way. All right, so any questions for me? Any questions for me? And listen, if you open your business and you get, 6 months in and you're like, man, I know I said that my tuition was going to be, $700, but I'm barely making it every time. And now that I've talked to, Victoria, or I've seen this webinar and I didn't think about adding those costs into my tuition, and maybe I do need to tweak the cost of my tuition, it is never too late. Do not feel like it's never too late. You can tweak the cost of your tuition at any time, and you can make sure that you're explaining why. Okay, remember, this is all-inclusive tuition if that's what you're offering. Or if none of the other schools are offering the ability to pay for your for the test, then that is your selling point. Yeah, we are $200 more than our competitors, but guess what? We pay for your exam so you don't have to. We connect you with jobs. We help you write your resume. Whatever added benefit that you have to your business, you want to sell that. You want to point that out. We're going to do everything we can to get you a job when you leave here. We're going to make sure that you pass your skills exam. We have additional skills exam. Maybe you have online videos that we provide that school doesn't. Sell your school. Think about how you can be unique. Think outside the box. That is what makes you great. Choose a niche. Okay, maybe you're in a state where you can teach it in Spanish. I don't know. Florida, you can do that. Teach it in Spanish. We teach it in Spanish for you. What school does that? Okay, whatever selling strategy you can do. I had a gentleman in Florida. They provided their students with free childcare. Okay, he collaborated with a local school for kids and signed up for a daycare program with them. So it was free to the students. Yeah, he was paying a stipend for them to go there, but to the students, it was free because it was added into their tuition. That was his niche. His niche was single parents. What is yours? Okay, so I'm going to let you guys go. That was the whole moral of the webinar this morning, was basically to point out to you that all the things you need to think about when you are considering costs for your CNA school. And you just got a few extra ideas on, how can you make your school stand out. Some people are afraid to charge more in tuition. My school was $300 more than the tuition of any other CNA school in my area, and I still got students. Okay, because I was able to sell them on the business. You got to be able to sell people. This is a sales, you're a salesman now. As an entrepreneur, you are a salesman. Any other questions for me, guys? You're welcome. You guys are welcome. If you're not already on my email list, you get information like this, but more in a teaching format. All right, I do webinars every Monday for people in my mentorship program like this that are more structured and more of a teaching format. And then after I do my presentation, we figure it out together. So like, okay, now what's your tuition going to be? Let's figure it out. Tell me, let me know. Let me help you work through that, right? So it's not just kind of this, here's some information for you, now go figure it out on your own later. It's let's work together and figure it out now. So if you want to know a little bit more about my mentorship program, you can go to my website, www.thesecretcocktail.com. And there's some information there inside of our blog, the Secret Cocktail blog, that talks to you about the mentorship program. It's a 6-month-long program where I help you get your CNA school started from beginning all the way to the very end within that 6-month time frame. And we meet weekly to keep you on task. It is a virtual program, so people, no matter where you are in the United States, you could attend with me if you choose. And so just visit our website. Like I said, sign up for the email if you're not already on my emails. I send an email weekly. So if you're like, I'm not sure if I'm on her email list. Well, if you're not getting an email from Victoria Randall weekly, then you are not on my email list, and you would definitely want to join because you don't want to miss this great information. All right. So thank you guys again. I'm going to get going. Have a wonderful week. Bye.